Hello, I am back with another episode of the TV Musings, and this one is going to be once again devoted to WANDAVISION, my favorite series currently running. Not that I follow very many. Um, I was going to do it as I've been doing them, where I did two episodes of WandaVision per show here, but I decided that the final episode is probably going to take a lot of um, talking about and mulling over. So I figured I'd just wait for that to be its own separate thing, and I'd just go ahead and tackle episode 7, which just dropped today, on its own. So this one will be shorter than the 1 hour ones where I've been tackling two episodes, unless I get to rambling incessantly. But I'm just going to try to go over what happens in this episode and kind of talk us through it and give some idea, uh, what I think about it, et cetera. Same as I've been doing. Um, so warning, as on all of these, there's tons of spoilers. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to assume that you've watched it or you don't care about spoilers, or the way I tell it is so kind of blasé. It can't compare to the actual experience, which is true. Um, so actually, to help me, I did the same thing I did last episode, which I have it kind of playing along the side here, and they're only half hour or so episodes. This episode's a little bit longer. It has about 35 minutes of material, so I'm wondering if the final episode will be an hour special. I kind of hope it will, because there's a lot to explain. So let's jump into what occurred in this here episode 7. So um, Vision, after getting through the hex, the barrier here, of the reality that Wanda has conjured and changed the town of Westview into, for her sitcom world. Um, Vision reawakens, and he finds himself, in there's a carnival, like a circus, here on the edge of town. And in the circus, there's a young lady who's in chains, and I don't know if she's supposed to be an escape artist or if she's going to be used for some kind of magic trick. But it's a nice image. So, but the young woman is Darcy Lewis, and she doesn't know who she is. She's become a sitcom character. Um, so Vision uses his little unexplained power where he zaps someone in the temple, and they remember who they actually are. So he does that on Darcy, and I just wanted to say about Darcy real quick that one thing I really like about this show has to do with Darcy and with the young lady who plays Monica Rambeau. I'm blanking on her name. Perona Harris. I mean, probably Paris. I'm probably getting it wrong. Um, is that they have very voluptuous figures, like really, you know, classic, hourglass figures, and they're not slim, like most of these actresses in these films. They're closer to. They're not quite as thick as Mary Wiseman in Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, who of course I profess my infatuation with. Um, I knew Kat Dennings was kind of voluptuous, but I don't know if she has gained weight or what. But her legs and hips and everything are pretty, pretty amazing. Um, she looks pretty strong. So, and then I've always thought that about Monica, and that she looks more like a black woman, would, that you actually meet in person, than an idealized kind of TV star. Um, so they both do. I think those are good role models, I guess you could say. I mean, think uh, gradually these more acceptable and realistic body types are making their way into TV shows, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry white misogynistic closeted homosexual males who are not happy about this, but that's their problem. Some of us enjoy watching women being looking like women, and flesh. So I guess I've talked enough about that. So Darcy and Vision head into town, and Wanda obstructs them with stop signs and children's school crossings and etc. to stymie them. Meanwhile, Wanda's kind of playing out her sitcom reality. So, this episode apparently is going to be the last of the homages to the classic sitcom styles and formats. So, in this one, it's the last one was the 1990s style. And this one is definitely the 2000s. So, this is like the millennial style. And what it is kind of that kind of handheld verite, kind of raw reality television style with kind of like weird sudden camera zooms and these kind of candid asides where a character is telling us the audience some anecdotes and being very deadpan. The humor's more deadpan. um, it's everyone knows this style from shows like The Office, the American version, and Parks and Recreation, definitely. Um, those are the only shows I've really watched with that style, but I know it's kind of a ubiquitous style in TV comedies, or was. They may not be using it as much. I don't really follow any current TV comedies. Um, but so this is kind of as within this style of sitcom, one is kind of unraveling because her control over her reality is slipping. This reality she's conjured, and so things start kind of phasing in and out. Um, uh, she's not really sure what's happening. She thinks she has it together. She's still got the twins, Tommy and Billy. I thought maybe they were going to age into teenagers in this, but I guess that would be too much of a recast. Have to get more adult oriented, or towards adult oriented actors to play them kind of closer to their adult incarnations in the comics as Wiccan and Speed. We're just getting used to the new Pietro, played by Evan Peters. Um, so, in the middle of all this, helping her through everything, as usual, is her neighbor Agnes, who always has some ridiculous quip and cheesy comment. And Agnes is acting kind of weirder than usual in this episode, and she's done this before, but you just kind of, I assumed always that Wanda was just amping her quirky personality because that's the kind of character type that she was for Wanda's sitcom reality. Doesn't That's not exactly the case, and I'll get to that shortly. So, uh, Vision and Darcy, as they're making their way into town, uh, Darcy tells Vision, not only who she is, but she tells him who he is. She There's things he doesn't remember, his deaths before, his death and then the rewind death in Infinity War, uh, and why it happened and all the stuff with the Mind Stone, and um, so he finds out he was original program called Ultra. I'm sorry, an original program called Jarvis. And then Ultron constructed the vibranium body, vibranium laced body, I guess, of Vision as part of his genocidal plan. And he asks, what am I now? And she's not really sure. She was hoping he had the answer. Um, so that's kind of dangling out there, the two of them trying to get there. Um, and what's happening there, uh, we go to Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo. So they are, uh, they're on the outs with Hayward, the head of Sword. So they find these, I guess they're these Sword loyalists who worked with, loyalists to Monica, who had worked with her before under her as a captain. And they're helping Monica and Jimmy. It's kind of a sudden development. It could have Some of the exposition could have ran by me and I just missed it in the last episode as they're that's where they were going when they got away from the expanding hex. But that's where they end up, and basically Monica has commissioned from them this kind of impenetrable giant rover, to use on other planets or whatever, and it can resist all kinds of pressure and energy. And Monica's going to commandeer it and go into the hex. And Darcy has told Monica before that with 2 prior trips into the hex, it has rearranged her uh, genetic structure to the molecular level. So my theory, and which I kind of kept to myself, was that if this is going to cause her to have powers kind of similar to her comic counterpart, Monica Rambeau, who was also known briefly, or for a little while, as the second Captain Marvel, between Marvel and his kids, and later Carol Danvers. And later she was known as Photon, and Photon was the nickname of her mom in the Captain Marvel movie. So that kind of phasey thing, I'm wondering if she's acquiring that, from the energy going into her from the hex. So she can't get through. The hex knocks the rover out, and she stubbornly decides to just go in. And I guess she thinks because her molecular structure is kind of rearranged that she'll be able to somehow phase into it. And she's correct. And so she makes it and takes off this kind of astronaut suit she's wearing, and she's got this suit. It kind of looks like a Star Trek The Next Generation uniform, very similar design, if you remember their uniforms. But except it's white in this part where the red would be, and it's black up here with the shoulders, and black with the pants and the boots. And she has a sword symbol instead of I think it's a sword symbol instead of a Federation symbol, obviously. And those color scheme is the same as in the comics when she was Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel had a black and white, pure black, pure white, and those are the only colors, or lack of, or all colors that she wore. So again, you're making a close homage and evocation of the source material, which of course I did. But in any case, so the strands are kind of coming together, and this sitcom format kind of affects everything. It's even making Vision do these kind of asides to the camera, angst-ridden and deadpan. And then he realized, he's like, what am I doing? Why am I talking into this camera? I'm going to find my wife. And so he goes ahead and levitates with his, density altering ability. He levitates out of the truck that he and Darcy are taking to town. He goes ahead of her, and Monica finds Wanda and confronts her. And so finally, there's someone from, our reality who is telling her, hey, cut this out. Of course, Wanda attacks her, and she's able to resist Wanda's power to an extent, which again I think is because of this power. Because when she comes into the field, and then occasionally her eyes kind of glow with this kind of bluish light. It's kind of semi-opaque, and I guess that's the manifestation of her power. That's your typical kind of special effect used for these kind of characters in modern movies, and it's pretty cool. So Wanda is not amused, and she's kind of warning, Wanda that Hayward is going to kind of destroy everything, and that Wanda is not like him, that she needs not be the villain of the piece. And she says, maybe I already am. And Agnes, the Snoopy neighbor, comes and whisked her away, which seemed a little odd to me until I started to think more into what could be happening, which is based on some rumors I'd read, which I thought were just really off the wall speculation. It turns out there may be a seed of truth in them, and I'll get to that. That's kind of the surprise ending. So let me skip through the show a little bit more. So Monica, is not going to give up on this scenario, but Wanda goes inside to see her kids, and they're not there, and she asks Agnes where they are, and so she says they're in the basement. So here's where we get into a kind of the climax and more kind of symbolism that has to do with what the hex is really about, and this whole reality, what it really is, and who's behind it. And you probably say, well, I thought Wanda was behind it. Well, okay, so Wanda descends into the basement, and it's like descending into the sub basement of her mind, the way I saw it. And it's kind of like there's a lot of black snaky kind of tendrils all over the wall, or kind of like branches of a tree, and it's gnarled, and it's kind of like a dungeon with all that in it. So it kind of is like the dungeon, I guess, of her mind. And she goes to explore it, and calls for her children, and they don't answer, and she just kind of roams around a bit. And when she gets there, into the main room or whatever, uh, Agnes says, big spoiler here. Agnes says, "Hey, you're not the only magical girl," and uh, she says her real name is Agatha Harkness, which is in the comic books an older lady, like very elderly lady, but she's a witch, and she trained Wanda in real magic, supplement her mutant hex ability, but long before the whole reality altering thing became canon. So in this, apparently Wanda doesn't know um, Agatha Harkness, I'm assuming, unless it's been expunged from her memory. But then they do this little snippet with Agatha, about Agatha all along, and I guess it's to sum up this plot twist. And it's got this kind of cheesy vocal jazz music, and the cheesy Catherine Hahn playing, Agnes slash Agatha Harkness. I don't know what I think about her, to be honest. I'm not. I have been kind of lukewarm about her. And now that they're making her another character, that one that I'm familiar with, I don't know how they're going to play it, but basically they're playing her as this kind of Machiavellian, manipulative mastermind behind all this. That she put all this into motion, and they show like quick shots of her conjuring Pietro, for instance. So that explains why he came in there and Wanda didn't conjure him. And so that's kind of where we leave things. Is we see all these different a montage of all these different shots of Agnes and what was really behind them, and what Agatha was doing behind the scenes. And there's, like I said, there were some foreshadowing of this. I don't think very much, though. To me, it wasn't. I'd have to go back and watch the other episodes, but to me, it wasn't until this episode that she began noticeably acting kind of strange, or kind of contrary to the sitcom reality of being the nosy neighbor. I just thought that was this quirky, annoying personality type that Wanda had created. And I guess I was wrong. She has her own mind, and that also does explain one or two scenes where she slips out of character, which were hints that started to make Vision suspect this wasn't real. But I guess she really was slipping out of character because she actually knew that it was all a sitcom. So as the credits roll, we get it after the credits scene, just like in all the movies. This is the first time they've done this on the series. And we assume Vision is on his way there. Monica opens kind of a side little thing on the house that leads to the basement, and suddenly Pietro Maximoff, the snooper's going to snoop. And so now, is Pietro working for Agatha? Does he know? He obviously knew it wasn't real. This thing Wanda was living in the hex in Westview. That was clear in the last episode. And as to whether he's in on it, or why Agatha did this, and to what extent of this reality changing is Wanda's power, and what extent is Agatha's, and how did she meet Agatha? Why is Agatha interested in her and doing this for her, to her? So now that we've got Wanda and Monica and Pietro and Agatha, and soon probably the Vision, all converging on the house, we're kind of set up for the final episode. So this is like the penultimate chapter. That's it in a nutshell, I guess, a long nutshell. I hope everybody here has watched this or will watch it, and I'm wondering what you guys think. Like I said, I'm not big on these big theories, but this is one that actually happened to pan out. The idea that Agnes is really Agatha Harkness. So I don't know if that was leaked or people just suspected it because of her name being similar. That's what I thought it was at first. I thought that's too obvious, but no, that's the reveal. So lots to think about. Um, I'm not sure how I feel about things at this juncture. And, a lot of different things could happen. I mean, we know some things that are going to happen, like Hayward's going to attack them. Um, but really, a lot of it is why. What the hell has been going on? Why has Agatha Harkness been the prime mover of these events? Who benefits? To what end? I say is all this being done, and how does it affect Wanda? And of course, my big question coming out of the show is going to be, and I guess hopefully it'll be answered next episode. Is Vision going to stick around? Is he going to stay alive? Um, it could go either way. I mean, I hope he is. And is Wanda gonna, snap out of it and not be so manipulative? Though obviously she is being manipulated herself. It's a lot to digest and absorb. I wasn't expecting this. Haven't had time to process it really. But that's how things stand. So I wanted to get this video done and up here in the next few hours, if I don't fall asleep, and at least by tomorrow, being Saturday. And maybe by then more of you guys will have a chance to see the show. I wanted to shout out once again to my friend Tim Tolbert. He's been following it steadily like myself, and we've been comparing notes. So I want to dedicate this video to him, and yeah, so I will be back. Well, I don't know when I'll be back with the TV musings. Obviously, with WandaVision, it'll be in a week, definitely. So I've got to work a lot at the end of next week. So I'm going to try to cram in the last episode and watch it at least once, if not twice. So probably next weekend. But by next Sunday, a week from this Sunday, uh, which is what, the 20th, 21st, 28th, last day of February. By that day, I should have a video up going into the final episode and everything. I am going to do another video here shortly. I don't know when I'm going to post it. It's going to be more of a personal video, but I wanted to do that also. And then as the week, with the coming week, I'll, figure out what mood I'm in and where I want to go next, in the interim between this and the climactic WandaVision video. So thanks for listening. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and I'll see you soon. Take care.